Yo, what's good, everybody? So today I wanted to do um, another face content, but I'm gonna I'm gonna keep just doing I'm just gonna keep the charts open because I want to talk about something very important that's keeping your trading. Um, well, it's actually keeping your trading, from growing, and it's keeping you as a person in general from growing, and that is dopamine. Okay, and now I know a lot of people are very dopamine dependent, so that's why I wanted to, keep the charts because it's boring. There's really nothing to see apart from, my screen, and you hear my voice. So, all right, so for those of you guys who don't know what dopamine is pretty much the chemical in your brain when you either um, do something that's good and you feel good, or for example, you get satisfaction from it, right? Now, dopamine is very good. Okay, dopamine can take you places very, very far. And why is that? Is because your brain associates that dopamine and that good feeling to that certain thing you did. Now, if you win a trade, for example, you get dopamine. When you open a trade and you see, green numbers, that's when you get dopamine. When you go and goon, that's when you get dopamine. When you scroll on TikTok, that's when you get dopamine. Now, the problem with this is it's like it's like having it's like having a sword, okay? It's like having a sword, but there's no handle from the sword. It's just the metal, and everything cuts, right? So what happens with dopamine is it either helps you or it pretty much destroys your whole trading and pretty much your whole mental state. Now, the problem with dopamine, as I said, is that if you're dopamine dependent, the you're never going to actually get successful, right? And why is that? It's because if you're dopamine dependent, you're not going to be following your rules, or it's going to be very hard to follow your rules. Why is that? It's because your brain is going to associate, clicking the buttons with dopamine. And, when you click the button and see green numbers, you're releasing dopamine and your brain, likes that. Now, if your brain is like that, well, obviously that means that your brain is going to take a gambling approach rather than an actual strategy trading approach. So that's the problem with dopamine, right? So if you're very dopamine dependent, or you can't stop scrolling on TikTok, you can't stop gooning, you can't stop doing those bad habits, then obviously your trading is going to be affected. Now, there's a very simple solution to this, but it is very well, actually, there's two solutions to this. Okay, there's the hard way, which is what I prefer. So doing the hard work is going to be better overall. So we're gonna have the hard way, or we're going to have, the easy-ish way. I forgot easy-ish, ish way. All right, so what happens is obviously, as I said, I prefer the hard way. The hard way is just deleting everything, okay? Deleting everything and pretty much doing like a dopamine detox. Well, and that would be pretty much just deleting everything that, has dopamine. So you can't, for a week, okay? So for 1 week, what you're gonna do is not watch TV or series or movies or whatever. You're not gonna watch TikTok. You're not gonna watch YouTube. You're not gonna goon, right? This obviously it's hard because if you're a very dopamine dependent person, then obviously if you pass from one day to gooning and watching TikTok and watching a movie and pretty much doing all those bad habits, then obviously it's going to be a very hard week. But it is going to be a week where if you stick to it, you can change your life. Okay? So obviously it is hard, and that's pretty much what I did when I because I started trading and I lost like 40 accounts in 2 weeks, and I lost pretty much like $2,000 in 2 weeks, which was pretty much my whole net worth at the time. So, and the problem was dopamine. The problem was dopamine because I wasn't following my rules, because I was just dopamine dependent. I was just following, what my body was saying, not what I actually needed to do. Now, obviously, as I said, it is going to be hard, but it is going to be very effective. And now the easiest way is just going to be on a longer period of time. So do it like a month. And what you're going to do every week, you're gonna cut something out. What I mean by this is, so if you're watching a lot of series, or you're watching a lot of Netflix, a lot of movies, then first week you cut off the movies. Then second week you cut off the TikTok. Third week you cut YouTube, and then not goon is low key a thing that you shouldn't even be doing, like whatsoever, not gooning. Right? So this is pretty much like, you need to not do this, okay? If you can control, your lust, you are going to be successful, because when every single time you do it, every single time you do the deed, then all your motivation, all your discipline just goes out the window, and you stay in like a super weird like dopamine zone. Okay, it's a very weird zone. I don't know how it works, but I just know it's really bad. If you have been doing it, please stop doing it. Okay, not gooning is really really bad for you, and it's really bad for your health. It's really It's really bad for your business. It's bad for everything. Okay, so if you're doing it, please, please, please think about quitting. Right, this is the first thing. You either do the hard way or the easy way. Just don't goon. Okay, just do not goon whatsoever. Now, as I said, the easy way is just going to be week by week. Instead of just cutting everything 1 week and that's it, this is going to be a month, right? It's going to be easier on your brain because you're going to be cutting off, slightly. So instead of watching, so imagine, so instead of watching, 5 episodes of Netflix in, a day, then you cut that to 1 episode, or you cut that to three. The next day you cut it to two, and then the next day you cut it to one, until you quit completely the first week. You do the same with TikTok. So if you're watching 3, 4, 5 hours of TikTok, then you cut it out to four, or you cut it out to three, and then you cut it out to two, one, etc. Right? So it's going to be, a progressive cut, rather than fully just going all the way. So you start your week, you don't watch absolutely anything, you don't watch TikTok, you don't do anything, you just do the work, you just put hours. And pretty much what you're gonna do is start doing the right things, which is just going to the gym. You're gonna start going, pretty much live life, man. Like, we're trading for the freedom, we're not trading for to be slaves of our phones, and to be slaves of our work. We're trading for freedom, right? You guys need to understand that the main thing you want money for is freedom. So, but if you don't take advantage of it, it doesn't really make sense. Like, what is it you're really chasing if you're just on your phone every single day, or you're not out there living life, you're not out there traveling, and you're not out there actually enjoying what your work has done, right? So that's pretty much the blueprint, I'd say, of what I would do to pretty much cut dopamine. Um, and as I said, if you can control your lust, if you can control, your dopamine urges of scrolling on TikTok all day, or waking up and scrolling on TikTok, then you are going to be very, very profitable, and you're gonna end up being rich, right? It sounds very, as I said, it sounds very stupid, sounds very simple, same as the first video. It sounds, like a simple guide, but it is genuinely that. It's simple things that actually make you, become the person that you want to be. It's simple things that actually make you become that profitable trader that you want to be. So just focus on that. Focus on, doing the right things. And it's you either take the hard way or the easy way. Follow it, okay? I want you to, whether you take, it doesn't really matter what you take, okay? You are going to pretty much, you're going to journal it, okay? So journal, okay? Every single day, journal, okay? Journal your thoughts, journal what you're feeling, journal everything, okay? Because it's going to help you also, overcome this. It's going to be, even if you take the easy way, it is going to still be hard. There are going to be days when you want to relapse, especially on gooning, or you want to do something that you really know you shouldn't be doing, but you want to do it. So journal what you feel, journal in the moment. Okay, I don't want you to journal at the end of the day. Journal in the moment. Journal like, all right, so right now I'm feeling like this, but I know I'm not gonna do it. Okay, and those affirmations, if you journal it, you write it down, you say it out loud. What it's going to do to the brain is like, okay, even though I'm lustful right now, and I really wanna go goon, or I really wanna go scroll on TikTok for 3 hours straight. Um, if you journal it, you go into your desk and you write it down, you say it out loud. You're like, okay, I feel like this. I know I feel like this, but I'm not gonna do it because I know what I want in life. I know that I want this shit bad enough for me to, follow my rules and follow what I've said. So if you do that, your brain is just gonna, switch completely, and it's actually gonna give you that good dopamine that you actually deserve. Which the good dopamine is pretty much comes from eating good, comes from going out, enjoying life and enjoying nature. Comes from going to the gym. Comes from following your rules, and you know what to do. So well, you take the hard or easy way. Just journal everything you think in the moment, and I sort of got. It sounds easy, and it really is very easy. But you just need to follow it. So yeah.